I knew her. Yeah, we spent our days together, our nights together. I walked with her. I slept with her. I gave her the best years of my life. That's funny to say, life. You see, for me and her, life was just a formality. Because in all actuality, I haven't been alive in quite some time. My life was siphoned. Bit by bit through the screen she glued my eyes to, through the things she made me do. Life. That's a joke. And a good one at that. I've been walking dead for what feels like forever. However, she never took anything from me, no. I willingly let her fool me into killing myself for years. She introduced me to the caskets in graveyards that far too often filled the hours of my days when I met her. She promised she'd take me to a place where I belonged, a place where acceptance could be found in abundance. I asked her if she could take me there, and she said, "Stick with me, kid, and you'll wind up there eventually." I was so eager to belong, to matter, that I didn't care what I had to do. That was the first night that I slept in her casket. I'd be lying if I said I hated it, because I loved it. I've spent the majority of my nights in a casket, but I remember the first night I upgraded from casket to grave. It was nicer. But then I began to notice the dirt that would be caked on my skin when I would wake up in the morning. Night after night after night, the dirt would build up until all anyone saw was the dirt that was caked on my skin and not the helpless boy inside. I asked her if she could clean me off, and she told me that I'd never be clean again, but that it was okay because no one's clean anyway. That was the night she led me home to the land of the dead. The night I died for the first time. The night life became just a formality. Death became natural, and life nothing more than a mere reminder of my cowardice. I began to rot. I would stumble through day after day after day and wait for night when her bat would put me out of my misery and take me to that place among the dead where I belong, that place that's so dark, in fact, that it pools around your eyes, forcing your sight to swim through it. And that's the way it went for years, until I heard him. I was stumbling through another meaningless day when a voice cried, "Zach, come out!" And all of a sudden, the pools around my eyes began to drain, allowing me to see him standing there. With tears in his eyes, I began to realize that the compositional makeup of the foundation of my life was lies. I was acutely aware of all that I had done, of the monster I had become. It wasn't until his hands were drenched with the murky rivers of my cheeks that I noticed that the drains had opened. Then he said, "I loved you." And then the scene shifted. He was no longer standing, but kneeling, a crown on his head, a cross on his back. I could tell he had stumbled, but his eyes had never left mine, still framed in the same creases as before. It wasn't until his hand motioned to mine that I felt the weight of the bag that it was filled with the dirt that had been caked on my skin for all those years. He motioned to it and said, "Zach, pour that on my shoulder and let me pay for that." Then he was hoisted up and murdered. And what happened next, I'll never be able to understand, because he was standing before me alive with a smile on his face and victory shining through him. It was in that moment that I knew I loved him. So I tracked death down and told her, "I can't do this anymore. You're killing me. As a matter of fact, you're suffocating me. I'm so sick and tired of your child's play. So eeny, meeny, miny, show yourself out the door. I don't care if you play for the Yankees, Red Sox, or Braves. Your bat can't hurt me anymore because my God has robbed the graves of his people. So never show your face around here again." You see, that was the day that life became more than just a formality.